UB Bulls basketball is back, and they just completed the Paradise Jam tournament. So, how do they look? Find out coming up. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video of Sports Talk Buffalo. Before we go any further, I want to remind you guys to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a video. I talk Bills, Sabres, and UB Bulls men's basketball and football right here on this page. Also, remember to check out some cool merch. The links are in the description below. The Bulls season has started, and this year's Bulls are a completely different team than we have seen over the past few seasons. Buffalo has an entirely new starting lineup because of the transfers that the UB Bulls had and a lot of graduating seniors. The Bulls seniors who graduated are Ronaldo Segu and, of course, Janathan Williams, Maceo Jack, who played in Buffalo for a season, and some big transfers that really are hurting the Buffalo Bulls so far this season are Josh Mbala and David Skogman, who I absolutely loved. They misused him terribly last year, and that is probably one of the reasons why he transferred. So that left a big job and task on UB's head coach, Jim Weitzel, and his staff to try to recruit and replenish all of the things that they lost this past offseason. So the question is, how do they look so far this season? The answer is, well, quite frankly, subpar. Buffalo sits at 2-4 currently and have a KenPom ranking of 199 at the time of this video. That puts them in the bottom half of teams in the nation, and that is a ranking. They're 199 out of 363 teams. So for the first time in a very long time, the UB Bulls basketball team, at least at the moment, is completely irrelevant to anybody outside of Western New York. So how did they look in the Paradise Jam tournament? This was a tournament that was very winnable. It was against a lot of very good mid-major teams. And a glass half full person might say, well, they lost two very close games against two pretty decent opponents. Well, one pretty decent opponent, one whose KenPom is even worse than Buffalo's. However, they lost two very close games, two games in which they looked very good for large stretches of this game. And hey, they did win their last game of the tournament, a game in which they looked good for the entirety of the 40 minutes that they played. So that is somebody with a glass half full mindset. Somebody with a glass half empty mindset might say that they had a lead in all three games going into halftime, and they could only close out one of those three games. They looked extremely sloppy at times, committing 13 and 15 turnovers in the two losses in this tournament. And they have been out-rebounded in not just all three games of the Paradise Jam tournament, but all 6 games that they have played so far this season. But no matter where you sit in terms of being optimistic or being pessimistic, we all have to remember that this is just 6 games into a brand new season, a season that's seen an off season that's seen a tremendous amount of turnover for this UB basketball team, and they're basically fielding an entirely new team, with the exception of it maybe 3 guys who were here last season. They are still trying to find out their identity, and they are also still trying to figure out the roles that they all will play on this UB Bulls roster. The one thing is clear, though, they definitely do have a fair bit of talent on this team. moving forward. So even if the Bulls are maybe not as good as we all hoped they would be, there is some bright spots that they can build off of moving forward. The first one being the JUCO transfer, the shooting guard, Yazid Powell, or Zid Powell as he likes to be called, the 6'4" shooting guard who stormed out of the gates for Buffalo. He scored 24 points in his first ever game with UB in a big win over Colgate, in which they won, I believe, 88-87. He is a fantastic scorer. He is averaging nearly 13 points a game and 4 rebounds per game. He scored in double figures in 4 of the 6 games so far this season. And if the Bulls are going to be successful, he has to be a major part moving forward. The second is sophomore point guard Curtis Jones, who has taken his opportunity to start on this UB team and has completely run away with it. And he has looked simply fantastic for a majority of this season. He has scored over 20 points 2 times this season, including 22 points against George Mason, a game in which the UB Bulls won. It was the last game in the Paradise Jam. He scored 22 points, was lights out in that game, scored 22 points the game before that. He has been a very, very solid, sturdy player so far for the Bulls, and he currently leads the team in scoring with 14 points per game, and he is second on the team in rebounds at nearly 5 rebounds per game. So to wrap it all up, if Buffalo wants to have a good season, both of these players will have to be big contributors moving forward, and they're going to need a little bit of help from their surrounding cast. Isaiah Adams had a very good game this past game against GMU. We hope to see that more in the future. He was a highly touted recruit, a highly touted transfer coming in for UB. He has to be a scorer if the Bulls are going to be successful, and we want more games like the one he played against Colgate and the game he played against GMU, and not all the games in between those 2 games. The Bulls are going to run through a gauntlet in this non-conference schedule because it doesn't get any easier after the Paradise Jam tournament, as the team that they faced coming off of the Paradise Jam tournament is Canisius, and even though their KenPom ranking is 291 in the country right now, which is dreadful, they did upset the UB Bulls last season, a game that was played at the KeyBank Center, a game that I was at, a game that I actually did a video about. It was a disappointing game for UB all around. So that is always a big rivalry, and no matter where they sit in the KenPom rankings, it will be a very tough matchup, as it usually is. The Bulls then go on to face St. Bonaventure, a team that they were so close to beating last season, and a team that they have beaten, I believe they have beaten in the past with some of their better teams. That is another school that is going to be, they're considered what I believe is a high major. So if the Bulls can beat the St. Bonaventure Bonnies, then it is always a good win when you can win against St. Bonaventure. Currently, they are ranked 132nd in KenPom. Then the Bulls have to play against Tulane, which are ranked 73rd in the KenPom. Colgate was ranked in the 70s also, so it is not like the Bulls are going to necessarily be completely outclassed. They will, however, have to bring their A game against Tulane if they want to have a chance in this one. Then again, it still doesn't get any easier after that. They have to go on and play West Virginia, who is ranked 39 currently in KenPom. And oh yeah, to close out their non-conference schedule, they have to go to nationally ranked Michigan State, and that is going to be a heck of a challenge for UB to close out their non-conference play. Buffalo, no doubt, has the most difficult non-conference schedule of all of the Mid-American basketball teams, and hopefully that this schedule helps prepare them for the difficulty of conference play coming up this season, and hopefully they have a lot of the things figured out and smoothed out by the time conference play rolls around. That's going to do it for this episode, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love interacting with all fans of the show, UB fans or fans of other teams. It doesn't matter. Let me know what you think about this University at Buffalo team, where you think they're going to stand, maybe where they're going to finish in non-conference and in conference play and in the season overall. And as always, guys, have a fantastic week.